Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to set tools on a Swiss CNC machine on the gun plate. This video is going to be mainly targeting beginners or somebody who wants to get into the CNC world and is present with an opportunity to work on a Swiss type machine. And we're going to give you some basic knowledge so at least you go to the machine and it doesn't look that scary. Keep in mind, this is gonna be a long series of videos talking about Swiss machine. We're not gonna cover everything today. We're only gonna cover setting tools on the Y and X axis. That's gonna be our first step because this is important because that dictates how your part is gonna come out. Remember guys, there is more than one way to do the same thing or to ship. This is my way of doing it. If you have different tips, if you have some tricks or tips that you want to share, please leave it in the comments down below. This is the way I'm doing it and have been doing it for the last 6 years. Let me know. First task you have as an operator that is about to prepare a machine for a new setup is cleanup. It's a tedious task. Make sure you use gloves and glasses to protect your eyes because metal and oil will go out flying whether you like it or not. So be careful and use protection. Next step is to remove everything to gain access to where your tools are attached to the gun plate. These machines by design are uncomfortable. The amount of space is limited. You will find yourself leaning into the machine all the time. On my case, this machine uses a 5mm wrench. You will have to refer to the operator's manual to see what kind of tools your machine requires. The main reason to keep the area where you're working clean as possible is because if chips make their way into the screw heads, your tool will slip, and now you have a much bigger problem on your hand with one screw stuck into the gun plate. You won't be able to take your tool out, therefore you will be spending more time than making sure everything is clean to begin with. So far, all we have done is in preparation to remove the tools that we have on the machine from the previous job. I will remove one screw and use the same screw to release the tool holder fixture. If you pay attention, you will see a threaded hole in between of where the screws are. Then we're gonna use that same screw to pry out the fixture. Now is a good time to place one hand underneath the tool while we threading the screw until the fixture pop out. This is important because otherwise your tool holder will fall into the ship conveyor, and believe me, 99% of the time that insert on that tool holder will break. Then we follow the same steps to remove the rest of the tool. Now that we have removed everything from the machine, we are going to clean and inspect all those parts. I'm using Minute Spring to wash all the oil under away. You could use W40, but I prefer this one because it works faster and it's less expensive. And do not get me wrong, WD-40 has its place and you will see it in the future video. Now, what am I looking for while I'm cleaning these parts? I'm looking for signs of wear, looking for any indication of the tool holder moving on the gun tool, inspecting all the screw heads and threads before getting everything back into the machine. This will be the best time to solve yourself future problems. Always double check your material OD. In this case, it's 4,000 on the side. It's important to know because this will be the reference point that we will use to tell the machine where our tools are located. Next step, we're gonna go into MDI mode and write down a simple code to set our Y-axis, the zero position for all the tools on the gun plate. How we do that? It's really simple. We get our outside diameter of our stock material and divide that value by 2, and then we're gonna assign that number to the Y-axis on our code. On my case, Y is negative, and I'm letting the machine do the math for me. So I'm gonna put the OD value and then divide it by 2. X value doesn't matter that much right now. We press input and save to save the program into the machine. Now let's grab a tool holder and use the back of that holder to set the Y-axis against the stock material. We need that holder to pass the center line on the X-axis of our stock material. So we're gonna place it like halfway into the gun plate, halfway out, so that way we have enough clearance. But if you need to move the X-axis, it's okay. I'm gonna use the center screw to hold it in place. That way it's secure, it's not gonna be falling on us. But I'm not gonna tie the other screws because we're gonna have to remove this holder and use it to center the Y-axis on the rest of the tools of the gun plate. Then we run our G-code and zero out the operator's axis position on the machine. Okay, here's where you need to be careful. Go into the manual and move the Y-axis away from the stock material. Move the stock material out and then slowly move the Y-axis close to the material. Get a piece of paper, put it in between, and then start moving the Y-axis against the material until you cannot move that piece of paper again. Look at the operator's axis and to see if you have another value other than 0. If that's the case, then you're gonna have to go to the setup page and go to that tool, scroll until you find your Y-axis for that tool, and then you will add that number that you got into the number that you should have on the machine on the setup page. Now it's just a matter of repeating the same process to all the tools in the gun place. let's get ready to do the actual setup of the tool. First, we need to make sure we don't have any offsets on the workbench. If you set your tools with some offset on the workbench, now you're gonna have to leave that offset there, or otherwise you have to leave that offset and set your tools again. We're gonna go ahead and set out our tool. Now, for that, we're gonna change the initial G code that I showed you on the beginning a little bit. Now, our Y-axis is gonna get assigned 0 because we want the edge of the tool to be in the center of the material. And our X-axis is gonna be our stock diameter. That way, we're telling the machine where the tip of the tool is. Then we are going to place the tool on top of the material while holding it with one hand and putting pressure against the gun plate. You want to make sure the tip of the tool is touching the material and that your tool is straight against the gun plate. That way you will ensure tool life and you're gonna have a more accurate setup. We have our tool secure. Now we're gonna raise the X-axis, we're gonna send it to home position. And this is where you're gonna finish tightening all the screws on the gun plate for that tool. That way your tool is not rubbing against the material while you putting pressure into the tool holder. This could cause sometimes the tip of the tool to chip, and now you're gonna have a brand new tool that just set up and it's gonna break. Once more, we repeat the same process for all the tools that we're using. The only thing that is gonna change is the tool number that you will be calling. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit.